Good evening, guys. Okay, good evening. Magandang gabi sa lahat. This is my first time doing a presentation regarding the Ontario Building Code. Um, so our um, our topic today is about the Ontario Building Code for real estate investor. I have my introduction in the next slide. So as we go on, I'll introduce myself at the same time. So just a quick background. Real estate investment is all about the land and the building. So either residential or commercial buildings. So owning a building is similar to owning a car. As a car owner, you need to know about car maintenance and repair. As a building owner, you need to know also about building maintenance, repair, renovation, or addition. But unlike a car, there is a process to do building construction or renovation. Here in Ontario, building construction is regulated by the Ontario Building Code. So knowing something about the building code is better than not knowing at all. So tonight presentation is for you guys. So what we're aiming today is to answer the question, when do we need a building permit? Okay. So disclaimer first, everything discussed in this topic is the personal and sole opinion of myself. This presentation should only be used for informational and educational purposes only. So every situation is different and the end result may differ. So consult your legal advisor, building official, or building designer for professional advice before making any decision. Analyze the risk accordingly before proceeding to take action. Okay, introduction about myself. I am a professional engineer from the PEO, certified building code official from Ontario Building Official Association. I am also a certified engineering technologist from OSET. Sa Pilipinas, I am a licensed civil engineer. Currently, I am one of the executive for the OSET Georgian Bay chapter, and also one of the executive for the professional engineers of Ontario, the Simcoe Muskoka chapter. So currently, I'm still employed. I'm still on the rat race. I'm employed with the Township of Springwater. So I am the Deputy Chief Building Official. So this is my contact right now. So along the way, if you have question, you can give me a call. Just make sure that you introduce yourself or Tagalogin nyo kagad ako para I can separate the resident of Springwater and then the Filipino community. So yeah, pwedeng Tagalog right away. Wag lang Ilocano at basit lang ang alam ko sa Ilocano. All right, sir. So let's move on. So Ontario Building Code. So I am showing here the three version of the Ontario Building Code. So 20 years ago, when I was starting as a drafts person, we used the 1997 Building Code. It was enforced before April 6, 1998. So during those time, 1997 Building Code. Maliit lang siyang libro, isang libro lang na maliit, very handy. Everything are there in terms of building codes. And then in 2006, they have the 2006 Building Code. There's two volume, the volume 1 and the volume 2. So medyo malaki na siya. Marami na mga changes, amendment. So we used the 2006 code as of December 2006. And then in 2014, January 2014, they enforced the 2012 Ontario Building Code. So up to now, up to this date in Ontario, or the reference is the 2012 building code. Marami na siyang amendment na dinagdag. So yeah, pakapal ng pakapal, napakarami na ng mga changes, but we are using the 2012 building code. In Canada, so different provinces, just for information only, Ontario has our own building code. Alberta, they have the Alberta building code, and they have the 2019 right now. In British Columbia, they have the British Columbia building code, and it was British Columbia building code 2018 right now. That's what they're using. Pero sa the rest of the provinces like Manitoba, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, Labrador, Northwest Territory, Nova Scotia, Nunavut, Prince Edward Island, they are adopting the National Building Code. So the National Building Code of Canada, that's what they're using. They don't have their own provincial building code. So very similar ang National Building Code sa Ontario Building Code. Yung arrangement niya, everything are very similar. Ang malaking pagkakaiba lang niya ay yung climatic data, yung ground snow load, yung rain load, yung wind load, yung seismic data. So yun lang ang pinagkaiba niya, because those information are depend on the locality. So yun ang pinagkaiba. So if you are familiar with the Ontario Building Code, madali mong masundan yung Alberta or the National Building Code. Okay. So we have two volumes for the building code. Volume 1, it has the Division A. It's the objective and functional statement. Division B, that is the acceptable solution. Acceptable solution, ito yung it's a prescriptive requirement. So nandyan lahat. Halimbawa, ano ba yung prescriptive requirement? For example, sa stair, yung run ng stair, what is the minimum and maximum? The answer for that is 10 inches to 14 inches. That's the prescriptive requirement, meaning naka-specify ang range niya. Yun ang acceptable solution. Kung ayaw mong gamitin yung acceptable solution, you can use you have to make sure that you can use the objective and functional statement. So ano ba to? One example is about guard. Okay, sa deck meron tayong guard. Pag more than 2 feet, ang deck floor is more than 2 feet above grade, you need a guard. So ano ba yung objective ng guard? Yan ang tanong eh. So the objective of the guard is to prevent injury from falling from one level to the next level, to the lower level. Yun ang objective ng guard. And what is the functional statement? So functional statement is they have to ensure that the guard is strong enough to withstand the loading. So usually ang guard, nakadesign niya for 1 kilonewton. 1 kilonewton, either in horizontal force, inward or outward. So 1 kilonewton is almost equal to 224 pounds. So mas mabigat pa sa atin yan. Ako, 170 pounds na ako. So ang guard ay nakadesign niya sa 224 pounds. So yan ang ibig sabihin ng objective and functional statement. So yung Division C, it's about kalagay dito yung mga qualification ng mga building official. So building official and the designer. So before a building official or a building inspector can conduct inspection, they have to be qualified. So for instance, for a house, they can conduct inspection if they are qualified for the house. So they have to take the ministry exam. Once they pass that ministry exam, then they can conduct inspection for the house. Okay. Volume 2 of the building code is about all the some of them are the like for example, the SB1, this is the climatic data, the snow load, rain load, wind loads. And SB7 talks about or illustrates some of the drawings for a deck. So marami siyang example that you can use for construction. So once, if you're building a deck, if you follow the drawings in SB7, then you're good. Okay, so that's about volume 1 and volume 2. So talking about the building permit application. So
Wait, what? Another
yeah. So building permit application, an application for a permit to construct or demolish a building may be made by a person specified by the regulation in a prescribed form or form approved by the ministry. So ito yung form na the owner or the owner authorized agent need to fill up. So nakalagay dito project information, purpose of application, either new construction, if it's an addition, alteration or repair, demolition, and conditional permit. So that's the purpose. And then you have to provide the description. What kind of, are you building a new house or are you doing some renovation or addition? And then sa C, these are the applicant. The applicant can be the owner or the owner authorized agent. Okay. So, and then on the D, this is the area wherein the owner needs to fill up this information about the first name, the last name, the address. So that need to be filled up. E is for the builder information. F is for the Tarion if the contractor is under the Tarion warranty. And then G is for the schedules. So schedule 1, this is a form that need to be filled up by the designer, by the person or people who prepare the drawings. Okay, schedule 2, this is the form that need to be filled up by the septic installer if you have a septic system. Okay, so basically that's it. And then at the bottom here, declaration of the applicant, name, signature, date. So simple lang siya, ganun lang ang kwan. Nowadays, ang mga application, they do it online. So they submit it online, they fill this form, and everything now are online. Okay. I'll show you this one here. This is the schedule 1. So when you submit a drawing, they have to provide also the information about the designer. So project information, the individual who prepared the drawings will take responsibility, and then what's the qualification of the designer. So if you're applying for a house, the designer need to be qualified for a house. So they have to pass the ministry exam for the house to be qualified for a house. Okay, if the application about finishing the basement and making the basement as a second dwelling unit, then they have to be qualified for a small building, and so on. So marami siya, large building complex, it's back house, building services, detection lighting, fire protection. So pag meron siyang structural, if the member need to be like a beam, if it's not on the table in the building code, the designer need to be qualified for building structural. And same thing with the plumbing, they should have the qualification for plumbing. So these are the qualification by the designer. So kailangan fill up nito. Karamihan na designer, they take mostly all of this exam. But some of them, they might be qualified only to maybe house or small building, or HVAC house and plumbing house. So these things need to be checked as part of the building permit application. Okay, and then the declaration of the designer, print name, the building code ID number need to be specified also. For a professional engineer, usually they don't need to submit this Schedule 1. Or if they do, they have to check the checkbox for exemption, saying that they are exempted because they are professional engineer. Okay, and Schedule 2 is about the septic installer. So if you have a septic system, your septic installer need to fill up this information, and the applicant for the permit need to sign this at the bottom. So it can be either the owner or the septic installer who can sign this form. Okay, so let me also show you the next topic here. This is regarding a permit. When you submit a permit, there's a certain days wherein the building department need to issue the permit or refuse the issuance of the permit. So item 1 is about a house. Kung ang application is for a house, they have 10 days to issue or refuse the permit. Okay, when they refuse the permit, they have to specify what's the reason behind it, why they are refusing it. So maybe you're missing some information, or the drawing is not complete. So they have to provide the reason why they are refusing to issue the permit. So for a house, 10 days. Upon submission, basta complete yung application mo, they have to issue the permit within 10 days. Sorry, let me go back. Okay, for a multi-dwelling unit for residential, kunwari duplex or triplex, it's gonna go to 15 days. This is for a small building. So they have 15 days to issue the permit for that. So that's for residential Part 9 building. When you say Part 9 building, they are residential building which is not more than 600 square meter in building area or not more than 3-story in building height. So residential building siya, Part 9 building. So 15 days. For a residential building which is more than 3-story or more than 600 square meters in building area, 20 days to issue the permit. So yan ang mga time frame for the building department to issue the permit. So again, we're talking about a residential building only. Pero yung 10 days niya, it include also tent. And what is a tent? These are temporary structure. Example of this is a wedding tent. During summer, maraming nagkakabit ng tent, either a birthday for birthday celebration or wedding. So they have to apply for a building permit to install a temporary tent. And same thing with the sign. Ito yung mga either a freestanding sign, a billboard sign, or kung may office ka or may establishment, restaurant, kailangan mo ng sign. So they also need to apply for a building permit. So that's 10 days. Okay. And then farm building also, you need to submit a building permit application for a farm building. If the farm building is not more than 600 square meter, 15 days. More than 600 square meters, 20 days. Mga nursing home, retirement homes, 20 days. This 20 days here for retirement home, it include new construction or if they are just doing renovation. Basta retirement home, 20 days siya. And then for Item 4 is about complex buildings. Complex building, these buildings include post-disaster buildings. Ano yung mga post-disaster building? Post-disaster building include hospitals, blood bank, fire station, police station, anything that's required that are essential to the provision of services in the event of fire, of disaster. So yun ang post-disaster building. So 30 days, medyo yun ang pinakamatagal. And then also, sa mga high building or building with mezzanine, sa mga malalaking industrial facilities na may mezzanine, 30 days. So these are the time period to issue or refuse the building permit. So yan ang mga time frame. Okay. Do we have any question for now?
Sir, we do have one question. Yung forms ba is standard for all cities or townships across Ontario?
Okay, itong form na to, these are generic. So pag when you're applying for a building permit, available to sa mga website ng mga township. So they are very similar. This one here I use from the township of Springwater. So papalitan mo lang yung heading, but the rest of the fillable space are the same for different town all over Ontario.
And then yung time frame, sir, this is the standard time frame, but nowadays is there a delay or within these ranges?
This time frame, ito yung prescribed ng ministry for the township to issue the permit. So if it's a complete application, they have to issue the permit within this time frame. But again, nowadays, nagkakaroon ng shortage of staff. Tulad sa amin ngayon, may Springwater, maraming application eh. So hindi kami nakakahabol sa oras. So when they apply, we always tell them, mayroong delay. So hindi namin magagawa kaagad, but we are working on their permit application. So these are just bases, but again, as long as you inform the applicant that about the reason behind it, that we have a shortage of staff, the 10 days can be either 15 days. Okay, so these are just guide. Okay. Okay, let's move on. So let me just include some definition here, because these are the three items that's being interchanged most of the time. So building official, the building official, they are working in the building department. So building official include the chief building official, the plan examiner who reviewed the permit application, and the building inspector. So they are the building official. They perform statutory function and are bound by law not to deviate from OBC. So as a building official, we were hired by the XR, but we need to be appointed by the council. So we are appointed employee. So in every town, they create a bylaw and they appoint us to be a building official. So ganun ang process. As a building official, we ensure that the construction is completed to a minimum standard. Okay, just a minimum standard. So those are the building official. And then let me just define also about building inspector. So the building inspector, they are also building official. They are qualified inspector for the categories of qualification as per the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. So kung ikaw building inspector, if you're inspecting a duplex, if they're doing renovation, kailangan qualified ka for a small building. You need to pass the ministry exam, and then you need to be appointed by the council before you start doing inspection. And they are building inspector. They are trained as per code to conduct inspection during the construction stage. Okay, so mga building inspector, they are doing inspection during construction. Okay, this is the keyword here, during construction. The building inspector, they are they are hired by the township. Okay, the home inspector, they are employed by a buyer to inspect a home that they are purchasing. So a home inspector, they are employed by the buyer. Okay, while the building inspector, they are employed by the town or the city. Yun ang pinagkaiba. The home inspector, they inspect the existing building for defects and things that need maintenance. They check all the mechanical, structural function of the existing building. So yung home inspector, they are inspecting existing building. Okay, they are inspecting existing building. So whatever they can see, that's what they make note on their report. So yun ang pinagkaiba, building inspector during construction, home inspector after construction. Yun ang pinagkaiba niyan. So pag if you're buying a property for residential, we hire a home inspector to inspect the building. So kung ano existing condition niya, tinetesting lahat, tinitingnan kung may mga cracks, tinitingnan kung gumagana lahat ng aircon, yung heating system, yung electrical niya, tinitingnan niya lahat. So yun ang pinagkaiba ng building inspector saka home inspector. Okay. Okay, let me define building permit. So as per the Building Code Act, Section 8, no person shall construct or demolish a building or cause a building to be constructed or demolished unless a permit has been issued by the CBO or Chief Building Official. So itong definition ng building permit, no person shall construct or demolish. So take note of the two words here, construct and demolish. So if you're doing a construction, you need to apply for a building permit. If you're demolishing a building or part of the building, then you need a permit. So these are the two key words. Okay. So just take note of that, and then we will define later on or deep dive what's the meaning of construction. May mga exemption to eh. Not all construction you need a permit. But for now, as per the definition, as per the building permit definition or statement, because if you're doing construction or demolition, you need a building permit. Okay, let's define the Ontario Building Code. The Ontario Building Code is a regulation made under the Building Code Act. It is a set of minimum provisions respecting the safety of a building, with respect to public health, fire protection, accessibility, and structural adequacy. So, ang building code, minimum lang yan, mga minimum requirement lang siya. Okay, you can design your building more than what's required as long as you met the minimum requirement. So, minimum siya. Okay, minimum requirement lang siya. So, and then the third one here, ang Ontario Building Code, they are objective-based format intended to promote innovation and flexibility in design and construction. So anong ibig sabihin nito? Objective-based. So ang sa building code, meron siyang prescriptive requirement. Halimbawa, what is the, for example, what is the height of a guard? So if the guard is more than 2 feet, if the deck is more than 2 feet above grade, but less than 6 feet above grade, so 36 inches, yun ang prescriptive requirement. Pero but you can if you don't want to use that data, or if you don't want to follow the prescriptive requirement, pwede, as long as you met the intent. Yan ang ibig sabihin ng objective based format. So as long as you met the intent of the code, they might allow you. Okay? So as long as you met the intent, yun ang ibig sabihin niya. Okay. So the Ontario Building Code also sets out technical requirement for construction, including renovation, demolition of buildings, change of use of existing buildings, operation and maintenance of on-site sewage system. So now, pag sinabi natin construction include renovation. So if you're doing renovation, repair, addition, construction siya. So you need the permit when you're doing construction. Yun ang ibig sabihin niya. So also you need the building permit if you're doing demolition. Like for instance, may nabili kang property sa likod, may lumang shed at gusto mo siyang i-demolish, you have to apply for a demolition permit for that. Okay. So before you demolish, you apply for a building permit for demolition. Sa bahay, halimbawa, part ng bahay mo, gusto mo siyang i-demolish, partial demolition, still you need to apply for a building permit for that. That is included in the demolition. And the third one, change of use. So anong ibig sabihin ng change of use? Maganda to, change of use. Medyo sa karamihan, they are not familiar with the term change of use of existing building. A good example, if you are buying a house, single family dwelling, and then you are finishing the basement and then making it as a second dwelling. So from single family dwelling, magiging duplex siya. So that is change of use. So you need to apply for a permit if there's a change of use of the building. Yan ang isa sa example of change of use. Another good example is, halimbawa yung bahay mo, single family dwelling, you want to convert that to your office. Halimbawa, project management office, T4G properties, kunwari. So from being a residential, gagawin mo siyang office, that's a change of use. So you have to apply for a building permit for that. Magkaiba ang criteria ng residential sa office. Iba ang loading. As per Part 4 of the Ontario Building Code, iba ang loading requirement ng office. So you have to submit for a change of use permit. When you submit change of use, a permit for change of use, kailangan supported with drawings. So kasama yun sa permit application. And then ito pang-apat, sewage system. Okay, I'll discuss this in detail about the sewage system. So again, we're making sure that, you know, you're doing construction, demolition, change of use, or sewage system, a building permit is required. Okay. Okay, let's define building.
Sir, we have a quick question here. If
Sure. Yeah, please interrupt me if my question, then I can answer that.
So do we need to go through committee of adjustments for change of use? Ito yung mga parang TRCA, parang meron bang TRCA din dyan sa sa spring water?
ang nangyayari kasi yan, pumapasok ka sa committee of adjustment. Pag yung zoning mo, it's only allowed, your zoning for your lot is for residential only. And then you want a change of use, and you want to you make the building as an office. So pag hindi siya allowed, dahil siya nakazone lang siya sa residential, hindi siya allowed, then you have to go to that kind of route. So there's a process for that. So diyan pumapasok yung sinasabi mo na hindi siya allowed because nakazone siya residential, and then you're converting it to commercial, for example. So you have to go that route. There's a little bit lengthy procedure for that.
So there is a process. So merong form, may fees, tapos approval. So
yeah,
to change.
Dumadaan yan sa dalawang ina-apply niya, dalawang department. Isa sa building department and isa sa planning department. Ang planning department, they handle the zoning requirement of that property. So marami siyang, magkakaroon siya ng, mag-apply ka, ipapaliwanag yung reason mo, magkakandak sila ng meeting, and then tatanungin ng mga neighbor, okay ba sa inyo na yung itata yung building dito is more than 3-story. Usually allowed lang siya sa 2-story. So 3-story yung tatayo. May comments ba ang neighbor? Kung may comments ang neighbor, kung wala silang comments, they might allow it. Kung may comments, then magkakaroon ng kanya. It goes to decision making. It's a long process, but sometimes it's doable.
Especially kung yung sa mga neighborhood mo is meron ng mga 3-story, mga existing na, so mabilis siguro kung may mga existing na properties.
Yeah, that's a good question. I like that question. Yeah, importante yung malaman natin na ano yung mga option natin pag nakazone lang siya sa isang residential and then i-convert natin or mag-change of use. Yan, magandang question yan. Okay. Okay, let me also specify the 2 types of renovation. Okay, ibig sabihin, pag renovation, kailangan mo ng permit. Okay, but there are 2 types of renovation. One is the basic renovation, and another one is an extensive renovation. Ang extensive renovation, if it gonna affect the fire separation. Halimbawa, multi-unit siya. So in between the 2 units, meron siyang fire separation. Pag magagalaw mo yon, pag bubutasan mo, gagawa mo ng pinto, maapektuhan ng fire separation niya, halimbawa 45 minutes rating, it's considered as an extensive renovation. Okay. Ngayon, pag maapektuhan ng early warning and evacuation system, kailangan mo it's an extensive renovation. Ano tong early warning and evacuation system? Usually, this apply for a large building. Early warning and evacuation system, they include the access to exit, yung exit with, exit signs, lightings of exit, emergency lights, fire alarm system, smoke alarm system. Yun ang early warning and evacuation system. Pag maapektuhan yon, dahil may babaguhin ka sa corridor, or kung ano man, extensive renovation ang tawag dyan. Okay? Also, when you're affecting the structural integrity of the building, extensive renovation yan. One example, halimbawa for a house, gusto mo siya maging open space, tatanggalin mo sa gitna yung wall, and then yung wall is a load-bearing wall. It is supporting the upper floor, or it is supporting the truss, maapektuhan ng structural integrity ng building, so extensive renovation siya. Okay, pag tinamaan mo ang structural integrity ng building, pag magagalaw mo siya, extensive renovation siya. And again, pang-apat is plumbing. Halimbawa, Tatanggalin mo yung bathroom, ililipat mo sa kabilang area, yung bathroom. So yung lahat ng plumbing roughing in, hot and cold water line, the sanitary lines, yung venting system niya, ililipat mo siya. Pag tatamaan ng plumbing, magagalaw mo ang plumbing, extensive renovation yan. Yun ang pinagkaiba. So, pag extensive renovation, automatically, you need a building permit. Okay? So, we just want to make sure that we all understand that a permit is required for extensive renovation. Basic renovation, some of them you need a permit, not all. And I will explain to you later on ano yung mga renovation na hindi mo kailangan ng permit. Okay. Septic system. So, pag bumibili tayo ng property, ito ang mga tinitingnan natin. Kailangan alamin natin ano yung source ng water. Okay. So, ano ba, meron ba siyang, nakabit ba siya sa township water? Kung nakabit siya sa township water, then nakalagay dito municipal water. Kung in other areas na medyo hindi siya nakalocate sa downtown or wala sa isang subdivision, wala pa siya mga infrastructure. So, kailangan magkaroon ka ng source of water. So, usually drilled well ang source of water niya. So, pag bumili ka ng existing property, tingnan mo itong dalawang ito. Anong source of water? Kung drilled well ba siya or municipal water. So, ito ang most of the time being neglected. Kailangan tingnan natin to, ang source of water. And same thing, kung may water, yung waste niya, yung sanitary waste niya, yung sewage niya, saan ba yung papunta? So, if you're in the downtown core or in subdivision, meron siyang linya ng sanitary line along the street. So, town sewer siya. Pero in some cases, medyo remote ang area, kailangan mo magkaroon ng sariling septic system. Okay. So, kailangan malaman ng dapat meron siyang existing septic system sa existing building. So, titingnan mo to, pag kinuha mo yung mayroong for sale, tiningnan mo siya, and then wala nakalagay na utility sa water and sewer. So, tingnan mo kaagad, baka naka-drilled well siya sa septic. So, wala kang babayaran sa utilities. Okay. Yun ang pinagkaiba niya. Okay, so wag natin itong kakalimutan. This is one of the important things that we have to check when we are buying existing building. So let me illustrate to you about septic system. I know most of us, we are living in the urban area. Toronto, kami sa Barrie, kami ni Tom Barrie, magkapitbahay kami dalawa. Hindi kami sa septic system. May nakabit kami sa city sewer. Pero sa mga remote area na wala pa siyang infrastructure, dapat meron silang existing septic system. So how does it work? As per OBC Division B Part 8, there are 4 classes. Class 1 is the chemical toilet, incinerating toilet, recirculating toilet. And class 2 is about gray water system. Class 3 cesspool. Class 4 leaching bed system. So what we have in the illustration here, this is the leaching bed system. This is very common. Ito ang pinaka-common na septic system. Class 5 is about using a holding tank. So instead of a septic tank, they use holding tank. So wala siyang bed. So holding tank lang siya. Pag napuno, ipa-pump out, tatawagin siyang malabanan, pump out, ganun ang sistema. So very common sa mga sa septic system is the class 4 leaching bed system. So ano ba ang class 4? So Galing sa bahay, yung waste papunta sa septic tank. Dalawang chamber sa loob, dalawang digestion chamber. So totally enclosed siya. Yung floor slab, mayroon siyang floor slab sa ilalim, wala siyang kwan. So dadaan ng digestion chamber, magkakaroon ng decomposition sa loob ng digestion chamber. And then lalabas sa outlet niya, usually it's liquid na siya. So from the septic tank, papunta sa distribution box, papunta sa perforated pipe. So doon siya madi-drain. So ang method ng kwan niya is percolation. So kailangan yung base niya, the sewage, the liquid sewage, the liquid waste will percolate to the ground. Yun ang principle nito. From the septic tank, it's going to the distribution pipe. So yun ang principle niya. So take note, since nagpe-percolate sa ground, you have to make sure that your drilled well is far enough. Dapat 15 meters ang distance niya from the distribution pipe to the drilled well for your source of water. So yun ang mga criteria. So this is the class 4 leaching bed system. Hindi mo ito makikita kasi nakokobera na siya. Pag bumili ka, covered na siya. So just to show you how do they construct or install this septic system. So for residential occupancy, the discharge or the total daily design sanitary sewage flow Q, they are based from the number of bedroom. They are based from the gross floor area. It means that the main floor, the second floor, and so on. And they are also based from the plumbing fixture unit. So every water closet, lavatories, kitchen sink, yung washer, may mga fixture unit siya. Kinocompute yan, whichever is the highest discharge, yun ang ginagamit pag size ng, if you're sizing your septic tank. So once you get the discharge sa septic tank for residential, it is times 2. So yan ang capacity, yan ang volume ng septic tank.
Sir, excuse me. I just have a quick question sa previous slide. So, for example, sir, yung piping mo outside your house, let's say your driveway, is if in case may sira or kailangan ayusin, kaninong authority yan? Is it the house owner or sa city? Ano yung limitation, sir?
Pag may blockage, usually unsafe condition yan kasi hindi yan healthy sa occupant. So usually they have to apply for if it's a quick fix, like may isang pipe lang na dapat ayusin na basag unintentionally, pwedeng i-kuan siya, i-remedy kaagad by the homeowner. Pero pag may blockage na siya, hindi na nagbabara na siya, wala nang yung capacity, yung lifespan ng septic system is not working anymore, hindi na siya maka-accept ng discharge. So they have to apply for a septic permit again. Septic, usually bagong septic permit application, ang karamihan either napalitan yung septic tank kung ang halimbawa nag-increase ka ng bedroom, for instance, nag-increase ka ng bedroom, nagdagdag ka ng plumbing fixtures, hindi kaya ang septic tank mo, naka-design lang siya sa certain volume, kailangan mo ng septic change of use permit. So ang responsibility niyan is from the homeowner. They have to apply for a building permit. So once they apply for a septic permit, we will check the information based on the septic permit application. We have to make sure that the calculation is correct. We have to make sure that the septic tank capacity is correct. We have to make sure that the bed has the right area, and the different types of layer of gravel, sand, and the tea time, the percolation time ng bed has the right information. So we check that for them. So it's the responsibility of the homeowner to inform the building department. So once the homeowner submit that, we approve that, then they can hire a septic installer to do the work for them.
So it's a homeowner's cost per se. Yung
Yeah. So kailangan tulong-tulong. Sometimes they don't inform the building department. Ang nangyayari minsan, nagreklamo yung kapitbahay, but mabaho sa kanila. Yung pala, may tagas na siya. So pag may reklamo, tatawag sa building sa township, magreklamo, ganito. Then we will investigate, and then once we get that information and there's a basis, we will require or provide an order to comply to the homeowner to repair the septic system. So kailangan mag-hire sila ng septic designer. So ang septic designer who prepared the drawings need to be qualified also. So yun ang process niya.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're almost done with this one here. So ang leaching bed system, so yung discharge niya from the water tank, it goes to a pipe, and those pipe, they are perforated, may mga butas-butas siya. So the first layer, it's made up of clear stone or gravel. Okay, first layer, mga 1 foot siya. And then below that is a sand. Okay, and then below the sand, it's the native soil. So that we usually either we do the soil test, or they provide a soil analysis for the soil. We have to check the tea time. It means that how much time can the liquid percolate to the ground. Okay, so yun ang requirement when they are designing for a leaching bed system. Okay, sa Pilipinas, walang ganito, wala siyang leaching bed. Usually paglabas ng yung waste niya, diretso kagad sa septic tank. Ang septic tank sa Pilipinas, 2 chamber, digestion chamber, total enclosed siya, and then yung next chamber niya, wala siyang floor slab. So yung liquid waste will percolate directly to the ground. Yun ang pinagkaiba sa Pilipinas. Yun ang usual design ng septic tank sa Pilipinas. Canada, hindi. Dapat pupunta siya sa distribution pipe, and then it will be distributed to the native soil. Meron siyang tinatawag na mantle. So yun ang kwan. And then after they install this one, we inspect them, and then on the corner of each pipe, they put a tracer wire or a rebar, and then they can backfill afterwards. They provide a filter cloth first. Ganito na, lalagyan na siya ng filter cloth, and then they will backfill. So hindi mo siya makikita. So ito, in-ground septic system to. Minsan may makikita ka above grade, nakaumbok siya eh. Ito below grade to. So pag tinambakan to, almost patag siya. Okay, so pag nagre-renovate ka ng bahay, if you're doing renovation sa bahay, if you're adding a bedroom or adding a plumbing fixtures, or we are doing change of major occupancy from single family to duplex or triplex, kailangan mo mag-apply ng septic change of use permit. It means that we have to check that the existing septic system has the capacity to support the sewage flow or the loadings. Okay, kailangan sila mag-apply ng septic change of use permit. Requirement ito. Tank, dapat may minimum distance 1.5 meters, 5 feet. Okay, ang septic tank. And then papunta siya sa distribution bed. From the distribution bed, kailangan ng at least 15 meters distance from the drilled well. We don't want the water source to be contaminated. Kailangan 15 meters. Yun ang idea doon, so that we don't contaminate. And then kung may garden siya, 5 meters. Kung any structure, 5 meters. Sa pool, kung may swimming pool, 5 meters. So ito nasa building code dito. When they submit for application for a septic system, they indicate the clearances from the house, from the property line, from the tree line, from the pool. So this is a requirement, mandatory to. We check this information when they apply for a septic permit. Okay. Now, and dito na tayo sa magandang part. We are almost in the 1 hour time. Okay. So the question when we start is, when do we need a building permit? So these are the answer now. So we need a permit if the building is more than 10 square meter. Okay, halimbawa ang building mo is 3 by 12 or 3 by 4, so that's 12 square meter. You need a building permit for that. Kung less than 10 square meter ang floor area but contain a plumbing, you also need a permit. One example for this is halimbawa meron kang pool house at meron kang shower sa loob. So mayroon siyang plumbing. So although the area is less than 10 square meters, basta may plumbing, you need a building permit. Also, if you are a plumbing not located in a structure, example for this is the sewer line, the sanitary sewer line from the house to the main street. That's also considered as a plumbing. So you have to apply for a building permit for that. And when you're when you're installing a septic system or repairing a septic system, you also need the building permit. Okay. Also, when you are building a designated structure, include retaining wall more than 1 meter or a signs. When you're doing addition or renovation, you need the building permit. When you are demolishing a building or part of the building, you need the permit. Change of use of existing buildings, you need the building permit for that. When you are installing a hot tub outside in your backyard, you need a building permit also. When you're installing a tent, more than 60 square meters, you need a building permit. Usually wedding tent during the summertime or springtime. These are temporary structure, but more than 60 square meters, you're going to be needing a building permit. When you're installing a mobile home or park model trailers, you need a building permit for that. Solar collector, usually solar collector, ito yung mga solar panel sa roof. So when they're putting a solar panel sa roof nila, kailangan ng building permit for that. We have to make sure that it's prepared by a professional engineer. Kailangan naka-fasten properly siya dun sa top cord. And then we need the general conformance letter from the professional engineer after installation for this. When you're installing a farm buildings, kailangan ng permit. When we're doing structural alteration, then you need also a building permit. Like for instance, itatagal mo yung load-bearing wall. Yeah, you need a building permit for that. Again, the next one is when you're doing excavating, repairing, or underpinning a foundation. Pag ni-repair mo yung foundation mo, that's a mandatory thing. Kailangan mo ng building permit because this is a structural member supporting the house. Kailangan mo ng building permit for that. So even though tulad sa akin, I'm a professional engineer, hindi ko siya pwedeng i-repair. Kailangan ko pa rin mag-prepare ng drawings and submit sa building department for permit application, and then they will approve that. And then that's the time that we can start the repair of the foundation. The next one is if they are making a basement walkout entrance. So karamihan yung basement, ginagawang apartment, they want a separate entrance, bubutasin yung foundation wall. So kailangan mo ng permit for that. A deck. Pag ang deck mo siya, if you have a deck more than 2 feet above grade, kailangan mo ng permit. Once it's more than 2 feet above grade, kailangan mo kasi maglagay ng guard. That's mandatory. So you have to apply for a building permit for deck. Ngayong summer, spring, maraming application ng deck sa amin, sa mga township. When you are also installing or repairing a chimney, wood burning stove, or fireplace, you need also a permit for that. So do we have any question for now?
Yeah, we'll just check the couple of questions kanina, sir. Let's see here. Back to the zoning, sir. How about property zoned as transitional residential commercial? Do we need to still apply for a building permit if we want to convert it from residential to commercial?
Yeah, for sure. Change of use, yeah. Change of use. So mag-apply ka ng building permit for that. Ang approval nun, building department for the building itself, for the change of use. And then ang second approval is from the planning. So they have to make sure na approve siya based sa zoning requirement.
Next dito is a proposal for 11-story commercial building is posted in our street. Is this allowed in the residential area? And this is in Dufferin, Eglinton. So we signed up for protest, and what is the impact of our disapproval?
Magandang question yan. Yun ang similar question yan sa question mo a while ago. So naka-zone siya sa halimbawa, naka-zone siya for residential, and then they are constructing a new building, and these are allowed based on zoning. So yun ang process niya. You have to apply, committee of adjustment, building department is involved, the planning department is involved. Since it's, did you say 11-story, right? Sabi mo?
Yeah, 11 stories, sir.
Okay. The fire department.
Sa harap namin to dito sa bahay.
Okay.
Ang area mixed use, mixed commercial, tsaka mayroong mga shop dito
Okay.
Pero 11-story building parang hindi appropriate dito sa residential.
Yeah, so
something na dapat hindi na inano ng city in the first place. That's what I'm thinking. That's my top of my head.
Yeah. So yeah, may mga hearing yan Mahabang proseso siya. Kasi pag nag-apply, hindi siya allowed. They have to go to the whole process. So it's gonna go to the building department, to the planning department for zoning approval. May mga committee of adjustment siya. The fire department will be involved too because paano ba siya susugpuin pag nagkasunog? 11-story, ay baka hindi na inabot ng ladder ng fire department. Saka may mga fire department approval na yan. And then magkakaroon siya ng mga consultation sa neighborhood. Kung ma-approve siya o hindi. So yun ang maging reference for approval. It's a long process. It's a long process.
Kaya nga, sabi naman namin yung sa neighborhood, 6-story siguro, kaya 5-story, para hindi naman naka-ano siya na bigla na lang taas eh. Biglang may matangkad na building na naka-ano sa in between ng mga residents.
Yeah.
Kasi nakaharap sa sa Dufferin, which is more commercial yung Dufferin kaysa dun sa street namin na residential street talaga.
Yeah.
We're signing up, sabi na nga namin ng neighborhood, hindi pwede yan. Lalo sa traffic lang nga lang dito ng mga construction abutin na ng 3 taon yun, 2 taon, 3 taon. Sigurado maraming involved na construction people.
Yeah. It's masasabi ko lang dyan, good luck for them. Based sa sinasabi mo ngayon, malabong maaprubahan yan kung may nagko-kontra.
Kasi nga siguro sir, nandito yung Dufferin yung Dufferin subway station Kaya everybody is taking this opportunity na mag-build sila ng maximize ng condo or something multi-use building. Pero yun lang sir, kung
Yeah. It's a long...
we're against about it. We just need something like maybe 3-story, 4-story, then they're okay.
Yeah.
So siguro sir, find your council siguro dyan, tapos make a meeting with them.
Si Josh call yung dito
Yan, you can reach out to him and then or baka suportado din sila ng mga local officials, but you can try kasi I heard in my community also nag-hearing din kami, so we're invited to the hearing. So may, like what Sir Winie said, it's a long process para maaprubahan yan sila.
Okay.
Now,
Right sir, yun lang.
Sagutin ko lang itong isang tanong dito, nabasa ko sa chat. From Jose, who issue occupancy permit? Okay, magandang tanong to. It's a good question. Before during your last stage of construction, you have to request for occupancy inspection from the building department. So they will check the minimum requirement. Kahit hindi pa siya tapos ang building mo. Halimbawa for a basement apartment, you finish the basement, we will check to make sure that you have the smoke alarm installed and they are tested. Yung hot and cold water line are working. Kung mayroon kang basement walkout entrance, we have to make sure that they are completed. Nakakabit yung handrails sa guard. We have to make sure that in each bedroom may window siya, at least 5% of the floor area, dapat tapos na siya. We have to make sure that yung HVAC system, yung supply air and return air, they were installed and operational. All the safety stuff are in place. For instance, kung nakadikit siya doon sa garage, dapat meron siyang door closer. Also, one thing to take note, dapat tapos na yung fire separation in between units. So we check, may mga checklist kami niyan. We do it one by one. We check everything, make sure that they are operational, they are installed. There's no safety issue, and then we can grant them occupancy. Kahit hindi pa siya tapos, kahit hindi pa tapos ang pintura, kahit hindi pa tapos yung grading sa labas, we can issue an occupancy permit. And the last inspection gonna be the final inspection. After the grading complete and everything are done, wala na siya gagawin. Pintura, everything installed. So yun ang building department will issue the occupancy permit. So they will not allow you to occupy kung may unsafe condition pa. Halimbawa, unsafe condition, hindi mo pa kinabit yung handrail mo papunta sa basement. May hagdan siya, may handrail. Hindi mo pa kinabit handrail. Safety yon, safety condition yan, safety concern yan. So hindi ka may bigay ng occupancy permit for that. Alright, sir. So, ano pang tanong natin?
Meron pa dito, sir, specific question. What is the present septic system in Timmins and or Kirkland Lake? So I'm not sure kung alam mo to, sir.
Can you please repeat again?
What is the present septic system in Timmins or Kirkland Lake?
Oh, okay. That's a good question too. So, my first property is in Kirkland Lake. It's a fourplex. Nakuha ko yun from our from Tam. So sa kanya ko nakuha siya. So yung location ng property, it's close to the downtown core. So meron siyang infrastructure, meron siyang linya ng tubig, saka linya ng sanitary line along the street. So, iyon, walang problema. So, sa Kirkland Lake, sa area, may mga area na medyo remote pa siya. Hindi pa siya inaabot ng infrastructure, wala pa siyang linya ng tubig, wala pa siyang linya ng sanitary line, ng sewer line. So, kailangan mag-create ka ng sarili mo. Or, kung bibili ka ng existing building, malamang meron na silang dati na source of water. So it might be a drilled well or it might be an existing septic system. So take note, pag bumibili ka ng lumang bahay, luma din yung drilled well mo, luma din yung septic system. So wala kang babayaran sa tubig, siyempre drilled well libre. Yung septic naman, wala kang babayaran sa township. Hindi kasi singilin sarili mo Pero take note, may lifespan ng septic system. So along the way, pag inabot nyo na yung lifespan niya, hindi na siya mag-workout, magkakaroon na ng blockage. Pag tulas mo yung water closet mo, medyo matagal na siya bumaba. So ibig sabihin, medyo hindi na siya ganun ka-efficient. So karamihan ang lifespan niya, on the average, depende sa gamit, 25 years. Okay. Ang karamihan ang nakakasira sa septic system, kasi ang septic system, meron siyang bacteria na pagpasok sa septic tank, may bacteria siya na nadidecompose kagad yung mga solid waste. Ang nagiging problema kaya umiiksi ang lifespan ng septic system is that pag mahilig kang gumamit ng maraming detergent, namamatay yung bacteria. Gumagamit ka ng Clorox, ng Sunrox, ng mga bleach, bawal yun. Or try to minimize those. Kasi namamatay yung bacteria, so ang decomposition niya mabagal. And then number one na bawal, huwag ka magtatapon ng pintura sa inidoro mo or sa huwag ka magpa-plus. Huwag ka magbabrush na maghugas ng mga paintbrush, ng rollers. Pagpapunta sa septic system mo yon, madali mag-clog, nababara kaagad yung mga pores doon sa lupa, nabablock niya yung mga butas-butas. So hindi nakaka-percolate yung liquid into the ground. So malamang in a short period of time, barado ang septic system mo, ang bed mo, magkakaroon ka ng repair, expensive repair. So yun ang mga iiwasan mo. Huwag ka magkatapon ng pintura, ng mga lacquer. Pag nag-renovate ka, Huwag kang magtatapon naman ganun sa inodoro. Iwasan mo yon. And then yung mga detergent, iwasan mo rin yon. Ma-minimize mo siyang itapon sa septic system. So,
Okay, may isa pa tayo dito, sir. How do we classify changing the exterior sidings? Vinyl siding. So, it seems no structural alteration involved. So, do we need a building permit?
okay. Meron pa tayo isang slide. Pinahuli ko to eh.
Suspense.
Okay. 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 What projects do not need a building permit? Let me just, again, renovation siya. Okay. So when you are replacing roof shingle or you're replacing the eavesdrop or siding, so no permit yan. Pag siding lang, okay lang. Walang permit. Okay, when you are installing air conditioning unit or heat pump, walang permit yan. Hindi mo kailangan ng permit. When you are replacing the kitchen sink or bathroom cupboard without plumbing, kung nagpapalit ka ng water closet, kunwari nabasag yung water closet mo, yung inidoro mo, nabasag siya, pwede mong palitan siya. Walang permit yan. As long hindi mo ginagalaw yung sanitary line, yung plumbing wrapping in, walang permit yan. And then when you're replacing your furnace, alam mo, hindi na gumana yung furnace mo, you can replace that, no permit. And then when you are replacing doors and windows, halimbawa yung door mo, may sumipa ng pinto mo, butas. So, ang same thing ang bintana, nabasag, pwede mo siyang palitan, walang permit, basta the same size. Okay? As long as it's of the same size, meaning hindi siya malaki. Hindi siya, ang width niya is the same. Kasi pag ang width niya is bigger, kailangan mo papalitan ng lintel beam. Pag papalitan mo lintel beam, structural yan, kailangan mo ng building permit for that. Okay? When you're doing painting, so no permit, nagpipintura ka lang. Mga drywall, yung skin lang, na drywall, nagpapalit ka ng drywall dahil nabutas, sinipa ng tenant mo, okay lang yan. Wala siyang, skin lang siya. Wala siyang, you don't need the permit for that. When you're doing landscaping, no permit. As long na hindi mo siya pinapalitan yung grade. Okay, what do I mean by this? So, karamihan na complaint is that yung kapitbahay mo nagtambak ng lupa sa likod para tumaas sila. Ang mangyayari niyan, yung melt ng snow papunta doon sa neighbor mo. So magkakaroon sila ng complaint later on. So bawal yon. Bawal yon. Hindi mo dapat i-alter ang grading. Kung mag-alter ka ng grading, apply ka muna ng building permit. And usually, madideny yon. Hindi mo dapat ginagawa. Kasi ang surface runoff dapat papunta doon sa swale. Ang swale is parang open canal siya. It's along the property line. So, yun ang ibig sabihin niyan. So, again, if you're replacing or increasing the insulation, no permit. Okay. And then when you're doing dump proofing sa basement, no permit. So, these are the construction that do not need a permit. Take note, they are non-structural projects. So, yun ang exemption niya. So we're good for the next question.
Okay, so Sir Juan asks about the basement renovation. I think depende kung ano yung re-reno mo, sir. So you need a permit there. And then
Yeah, can you please specify anong ginagawa, anong gagawin?
I-update lang yung ano, sir. Yung kung say bago yung bahay mo, siyempre yung basement finish pa yan. If you finish mo, is that a need a permit or?
Pakiulit, i-ano mo siya?
Sir, kung yung mga bagong bahay, no? Yung basement iniiwanan for finishing later on. Do you need a permit to that one or no? Kung i-finish mo.
Okay. If you're finishing a basement at if you finish mo siya para maging part ng occupancy ng occupants sa main floor.
That's
So
right.
still single family dwelling unit siya. So parang gagawin mo siyang playroom siya. So ang most cases in other town, you don't need a permit if you're just finishing it. Kasi mayroon na siyang dating insulation, may mga bintana na siya eh. Pero pag nag-create ka ng mga bedroom sa basement, halimbawa, nag-create ka ng partitioning.
Mhm.
So, ang one area, one side mo, kasi unfinished basement siya, nag-create ka ng bedroom. So, kailangan mo ng permit for that.
Oh.
And what's the reason why? Is that pag nag-create ka ng bedroom sa basement, kailangan ang every bedroom kailangan ng window 5%. And every bedroom kailangan mo ng smoke alarm.
Mhm.
So it requirement din yan. And then another thing too, you have to make sure na meron kang supply air for heating for the HVAC system. Kasi karamihan, baka yung linyan dati hindi nakatugma doon sa nakatapat doon sa bedroom. So wala kang supply air for heating system. So kailangan mo ng permit. Although hindi siya second dwelling, hindi siya apartment, basta nagki-create ka ng mga rooms sa basement, kailangan mo ng permit. And a lot of town, even though you're finishing the basement, wala siyang partition, they will still ask you to submit the building permit application because they want to document that you are finished, your basement will be finished. So it add value to your property. Kasi karamihan ng mga bagong bahay, pag binili mo siya, unfinished basement siya eh. So naka-record yan sa building department. You were granted occupancy with an unfinished basement. So pag i-finish mo siya, i-apply mo ng permit para naka-document siya, naka-record. Yun ang pinaka-intent nun. And then kung may mga gagawin ng iba, at least na-check namin din na you met the minimum requirement.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sir Winie, question lang. Sa mga investor, di ba, yung iba bumibili ng condo kasi can afford nila eh. Or yung iba mas prefer nila yung condo kaysa sa mga single family.
Yeah.
Pag ganun mga condo, may mga lifespan ba yung building na, hey, nag-invest ako, baka after 50 years, i-demolish na yung building. May mga lifespan ba na dapat i-demolish yung building before? Or wala? Ibig sabihin, kung single family, forever na investment mo yun eh. Kung condo, baka gibain, wala na yung investment mo. Ano dun sa?
Walang, ang mga building kasi, wala pa ako narinig na requirement na gigibain siya or pwede siyang gibain. As long na maintain mo siya, as long na livable siya, as long na ang nagiging problema lang kasi kaya siya pinapademolish is that pag hindi siya na-maintain, halimbawa wala na siyang, halimbawa deteriorated na siya, maraming pusa sa loob, doon na nagkalat lahat, yung flooring niya nabubulok na, it's unsafe condition na siya. May mga yung beam niya, may mga tagas na dahil tumulo na yung bubong. It's now unsafe condition, unlivable. So ang option yan, pag nalaman ng building department yan, we conduct inspection, we get all the data, and then we ask the owner, usually the first step is we ask the owner to ensure that they repair the building to make it livable, to be safe. Pag hindi siya nag-comply, worst scenario, pag wala talagang option, at mas mahal pa yung pagpa-repair, ang last scenario is i-demolish. So, yun ang kwan dyan. Walang lifespan. As long na nami-maintain siya, as long na safe condition siya, as long na may water supply, may heating, may lighting, protected siya sa weather. Okay lang siya.
Okay, thank you. Sir, regarding naman sa sa let's say, gumawa ka ng second dwelling, single family, ginawan mo ng separate entrance, ginawa mo apartment si basement, ano bang worst case scenario na penalty na matatanggap mo?
Good question. Very good.
Parang meron ako nun.
Parang sounds familiar.
Inihintay ko talagang tanongin ninyo yan eh. So, ganito mangyari. Naka-declare siya single family dwelling. Itong si owner, nag-renovate ng basement, ginawang second dwelling. Handyman job. ang reasoning niya is, sarili ko to eh. Gagawin ko kung anong gusto ko eh. Hindi pwede sa Canada yan. Hindi pwede. If you are making it as a second dwelling unit, may mga requirement. Pag second dwelling kasi, dalawang pamilya, ang requirement dyan is for safety. For instance, yung upper floor, one family, the basement is another family, which is a second dwelling unit, kailangan may fire separation siya. Pag ang building mo is less than 5 years old, 45 minutes fire separation. Pag more than 5 years old, pwede ka sa 30 minutes fire separation sa floor assembly. Yung floor assembly siya for 30 minutes as long na meron siyang working smoke alarm. So yun ang mga criteria. And then pag naglagay ka ng kwarto, kailangan pag ginamit mo ang term na bedroom, kailangan mo ng smoke alarm. Nasa code yan ngayon. Kailangan mo ng bintana. Requirement yan. 5% of the floor area, bintana. Kung walang bintana, dapat magkabit ka ng magay ka bintana. Ngayon ang tanong, ginawa mo, hindi ka nag-apply ng permit. Nalaman ng building department. Gagawin yan, magkakonduct sila ng site inspection. They will gather first the data, the information. And then bibigyan ka ng order to comply. An order to comply, it says that Mr. Tom De La Cruz, you constructed or renovate the basement without a building permit. Violation yan. So we will ask you to submit a building permit. Kahit tapos na siya. Kasi bibigyan ka ng taning. Bibigyan kita ng, tatanungin kita, Tom, gaano katagal mo matapos ang building permit mo? Sasabihin mo, 30 days. Bibigyan kita ng 30 days. O dagdagan ko pa ng bonus, 45 days. O binigyan sa iyo, order to comply yan. Within that time period, dapat makasubmit ka ng permit. Pag hindi ka nag-comply, binaliwala mo yon, it's gonna be the basis for legal action. Okay. So yung order to comply, mabait pa yun, parang letter lang siya eh. Pero pag hindi ka nag-comply sa time frame na yon, it's gonna be used for legal action in the future. So yun, masakit sa ulo yun, masakit sa hindi ka na makakatulog, sigurado ako.
Pero sir, question, kung meron ng existing na hindi siya legal, pero you are given siguro 30 days, so you will go through, kuha ka ng architect or designer, tapos sisend mo for approval. Pero yung sinasabi na penalty, wala bang yung, kasi andyan na yan eh, na pwede ba parang sabihin mo grandfathered sa previous owner? Wala bang ganun na, nabili ko yan sa previous hindi ba yan acceptable?
Hindi siya, walang penalty sa umpisa. Hindi pa siya binibigyan ng penalty. Ang penalty niyan is pag marami na siyang effort at hindi na hindi pa nakapag-comply, doon na papasok ang penalty. Court na magpukan yan, mag-decide about the penalty. Pero usually 50,000 yata yung hindi magkakamali pag for a sole proprietorship, corporation 100,000. Pero bibigyan ka ng maraming chances na mag-comply. So yun.
Sorry sir, tapos na ba yung slide mo para officially question and answer tayo para yeah, so yung iba dyan, if you can unmute your mic, then you can ask some questions.
Yeah, please free. Tagalog tayo, Tagalog, English, whatever. Yeah, let's ask the question.
Pwede magtanong po.
Yeah, go on please.
Related po dun sa sa tanong ni Tom kasi yung kunyari niya non-conforming yung nangyari doon sa bahay niya. Doon sa nabili niya, pero yung nung ginawa yun is years ago pa naman. Tapos yung batas bago naman which is kunyari for example 2011. Sa Timis 2011. Hindi po ba papasok yun sa sa case ng legal non-conforming? Kasi nauna naman yung nung na-revise yung batas, nagawa na yung nagawa na yung renovation na yun. Ngayon nauna siya sa batas kasi ganun yung naging case ko doon sa property ko.
We have to take note na kung anong binili mo, you inherit the problem eh.
Yes sir. Pero kung yung issue is years ago pa naman nagawa, nauna pa doon sa batas, nung ni-revise yung batas ganun na siya. Hindi po ba papasok siya as an illegal non-conforming case?
Pwede paki-specify kung anong klase halimbawa?
For example, yung sa case ko is, yung sa akin kasi 2 houses in 1 lot.
Okay.
Ngayon nung sinisilip namin yung zoning, bawal lang 2 bahay sa isang lote.
Okay.
Pero yung sa case ko kasi 1930 pa siya na ganun eh. Yung batas naging 2011 lang which is bago.
Okay.
Kaya kumbaga accepted nila. Kaya yung yung clause, may clause sa sa zoning na ang pangalan is legal non-conforming. Which is hindi siya nagko-conform dun sa bagong sa bagong law. Pero accepted siya ng gobyerno kasi matagal na siyang existing na ganun.
Sino nagbenta sa iyo nun?
Si Tom Mission Impossible de la Cruz.
Yung case na yon, kung titingnan mo siya, hindi siya sa amin kasi pag sa atin mga professional engineer, ano yung risk involved? Yan ang tanong dyan eh. Ano yung risk involved? So, yung ganong case, pwedeng yung grandfather eh.
Yes sir, yun nga po yun.
Walang risk yun. So,
Yeah.
it depende lang kung approvean siya or i-allow yung mag-grandfather siya. Okay.
Yes sir.
So, possible yan. Possible yan.
Yes sir, for example, yung kay Tom, kung yung ni-renovate yung basement is matagal na, nauna pa bago pa ni-revise yung batas, hindi po ba papasok yung sa grandfathered or legal non-conforming?
Yeah, kung ang pinag-usapan ngayon is safety condition, at nalaman lang ng building department lately lang, they're not aware before. So, pag hindi nila alam yon, lusot ka pa. Pero pag nalaman nila ngayon, may nag-complain. Halimbawa, I'll give you one example. Kung hindi magkakamali, sa parting Von, may nasunog yung bahay eh. And then yung tenant sa basement, mga estudyante, yung isang estudyante hindi nakalabas. Kasi yung bintana naka-lock siya eh, nakapadlock. So walang egress to exit sa bintana, nakapadlock. So namatay siya, nagkaroon ng court hearing 'yon. And although it was grandfathered way back before, kung anong mangyayari sa tenant mo, it's the liability of the homeowner. Kahit grandfathered yun eh. Pag nagkaso yan, kahit hindi alam ng building department, pag may namatay, hindi nakalabas, sagutin niya ng homeowner.
Bali kung may hazard, doon kailangan aksyonan.
Iyon, kailangan mo talaga aksyonan yun.
May hazard.
Iyon. Pero yung dalawang bahay lang, walang risk yun eh. Paperwork lang yun, approval. Pero pag may mga risk involved, kailangan aksyonan natin yan. Kasi liability natin ng tenant eh. Kaya pag nag-apply tayo ng property insurance, di ba? 1 million, 2 million. It's another safety in case magkaroon tayo ng ganong klaseng problema. Pero yun importante yun. Dapat we have to make sure na safe ang tenant natin.
Kuya Winie,
Yeah.
share ko lang yung aking experience dun sa aking single family na it has been a while for using for 2 units. So yung previous owner, he had done everything up to the code. Egress window yun dun sa basement, may smoke and carbon monoxide, yung fire separation is there. The only thing that he did not do is to apply a permit. Kaya nung nag-take possession na, I did apply for the permit sa city ng Sudbury. And then I hire a BCIN designer or architect to draw the layout, kung ano ba yung mga kailangan na dagdagan pa in terms of compliance based on as per code. So nagawa naman nila, sila na bahalang nag-apply sa city. And then nung nakapag-comply na kami doon sa mga dapat na gawin at i-renovate, sinabit na namin yung sa city. And then nagpunta yung inspector sa city. Nag-agree naman siya doon sa mga recommendation ng BCI designer. So bigay na rin siya ng recommendation na complete na yung permit and granted na. So I think naman hindi naman ganun ka-hassle kapag ikaw ay magko-comply. Hindi naman sila ganun ka-strict. They just want you to comply as per the code, so for the safety of everyone.
Yeah, tama po yan. Take note, in my experience, the past 10 years, wag kayong magre-rely sa contractor nyo kung sinabi nila na it met the code requirement. Kailangan talaga daan nyo sa tamang proseso, get the paperwork to support your claim na it comply with the building code. Kailangan ng building inspection, kailangan ng report. And then naka-document na yan sa town, sa city, na you met the building code requirement. At kung may mangyari man, hindi ka masyadong liable. Kasi your building comply with the code. So, dumaan ng proseso siya. Karamihan na mga contractor, they were always telling the homeowner, they've been in business for 30 years, they know what they're doing, but they are not. We always find things that need to be fixed. We always find things. It's a working. It's a group effort to make things work. Kailangan namin ng support ng homeowner, ng cooperation ng homeowner, ang support ng contractor. Then we have to do our job. Kailangan lahat nagkakasundo para sa amin, as a building official, before we grant you occupancy, we need a basis. We need to witness. We need the paperwork from your engineer if it need to be engineered. If you need engineering for that, kailangan namin yon as a basis for granting you occupancy. So I always recommend play safe. Play safe.
So sir, basically, so yung sinabi ni Madam Jenny na yung first step, so kung meron kang questionable basement po. So first step is to find a person, so BCIN qualified or designer or architect para ma-review niya yung existing basement mo, tapos from there pwede na kayo mag-submit ng building permit.
Correct, pero dagdagan ko yan. Dagdagan ko yung sinabi mo. Ang unang step talaga, pag mamili ka ng existing property, tulad ng binili ko, yung in-wholesale sa akin ni Tom, the first thing I did was to call the building department. This is the property I'm buying. And do you mind checking if there's no issue, there's no building code issue regarding this property? Did you guys grant them occupancy? So yun ang mga tanong. Building department first kasi may record sila eh. Kailangan kahit matagal na siya. Pag walang record, sabihin walang record. Kasi matagal na siya eh. Usually nangyayari yan. Pero tanungin niyo muna ang building department kung naka-flag ang property. Kung may violation at hindi ginawa ng paraan ng previous owner, you inherit the problem as a new homeowner. So tawagan mo muna sila. Kung may sinabi na, may problema to, that's the time you hire a designer to do a site inspection and prepare the drawing for you. Okay, pag sinabi ng building department na may problema, hindi siya ganito, tanungin mo ano yung problema. Be specific. Saan nagka-problema? Ano yung problema? Ask them the right question. Walang bayad yun, libre yun eh. Walang masama doon. Okay. I'll give you one example. Pag nagpa-home inspection ka, pag ang home inspector chine-check yung mga electrical, pag punta sa kusina, nakita niya yung outlet, hindi siya GFCI. Yun ang karamihan eh, very common. Sigurado hindi yan pumasa sa, hindi siya nagpa-conduct ng ESA inspection eh. Wala siyang permit from ESA. Any electrical work, it need to pass ESA. Okay, kailangan yun. It's the obligation of the homeowner to request inspection from ESA. Hindi lalapit ang ESA sa iyo kasi kung hindi nila alam eh. Silang ikaw mismo as a homeowner need to call for them to inspect your property. And then once they inspect that, if everything are okay, they'll issue you a certificate of approval for the inspection. If they're not okay, they will specify ano yung dapat mong gawin. Yun ang proseso. So it gives you peace of mind pag nakakomply ka.
Thank you. Sir, question. Paano ba i-compute yung fees ng building permit kung mag-a-apply ka ng building permit?
That's another good question. So every township meron siyang bylaw, yung bylaw fees. So usually, halimbawa sa house, if depende sa township, dito sa akin yung huling pinagtrabahuan ko, they compute that by square footage. So per square feet. So usually $1.10, if I'm not mistaken, per square feet. So kung ilan ang floor area niya, halimbawa yung bahay mo, yung main floor, yung second floor, around 2,000 square feet times 1.10, yun ang building permit fee mo. Yun. Pero pag bagong construction, bagong subdivision, meron pang additional fee yan. Mas malaking fee kasi they will provide all the infrastructure, the water line, the sewer line, the school. Maglalagay sila ng mga school sa area na yan. So malaki, may get 20 mil. Ang mabayaran mo dyan. Pag mga new subdivision, pag dine-develop mo siyang subdivision, on top of the building permit fee, may mga extra fees pa yan. May school board fee, yung mga ganon. So may get 20,000 yun. And babalik din sa iyo yan kasi they will create they will create the roads, all the services that you need, they'll provide that. So, yun ang idea doon. Pag basement renovation, you're gonna finish your basement, usually mga 0.5 cents, half of the cost, 0.5 cents per square feet. But there's a minimum fee, I think $100 minimum fee sa building permit pag mga renovation ng basement. And kasama na doon yung re-reviewin yung drawings mo in order to meet the minimum requirement in the code. And then kasama na doon yung inspection. So, kung kukumpute mo yun by per hour, panalo pa eh. Kasi kung binayaran mo lang 200, 300, review ng drawing mo na tama. Tapos, yung contractor mo pa, checkin nila yung trabaho ng contractor mo. Kung tama, kung ilang balikan yon, kasama na dun sa fee na 300 mo kunwari. So, panalong-panalo ka pa rin. So, we have to remember na ang building inspector, they are more on the quality. They are on the owner side. You have to remember that. They are on the owner side. Kung halimbawa, kumuha ka ng property far north, hindi ka makapunta, and then nag-rely ka lang sa contractor mo to do the job, okay lang yon. Ang sekreto doon para sa akin, ilagay mo sa contract na meron silang drawing na pina-follow sa renovation. Ilagay mo sa contract na they have to ensure that they call the building department for the mandatory inspection. So kahit wala ka, basta may report na pasado sa framing, pasado sa plumbing, wrapping in, pasado sa HVAC wrapping in inspection, pasado sa insulation. As long na pasado lahat yon, dapat kasi karamihan hindi tumatawag eh. Ilagay mo na sa contract na ensure na yung mandatory inspection nagagawa, may report, pumasa, ilagay mo sa contract yun. Kahit hindi, wala ka doon. Wala ka sa Nova Scotia, doon project mo. Nandito ka lang, okay, hindi mo kailangan lagi nandoon. So you can use the building department to do the job for you, for the inspection side. So nandito ka, sitting pretty ka rito eh. Babayaran mo lang sila pag binigyan na sila ng occupancy ng building department. That's it. Yun, gamitin mo sila. Gamitin mo. Mas nakakamura ka pa eh kung magbabayad ka ng home inspector eh. In some cases.
Good to know. Meron pa bang mga tanong?
Yeah, libre magtanong kahit ano. Although per building permit ang pinag-usapan natin, kung may special case kayo, let me know. Maybe masagot natin yan.
Yeah, maganda ako.
So, sino pa yung may mga tanong? Sir, ano yung mga example ng mga fire separation, sir? Let's say, for example, yung bedroom sa basement hindi naka-fire separate. Anong klaseng materials ang dapat i-install natin or para ma-achieve natin yung minimum requirement?
Pag sa Part 9 building, residential Part 9 building, ibig sabihin yung residential building is less than 3-story and less than 600 square meter in building area, Part 9 building siya. Meron siyang I don't know, pakita ko sa inyo yung slide ko. Slide ko dito. Sa code. Pwede mo yung gamitin yung sa code. Can you see this one here again? Yeah. So, meron siya dito. Yung SB3, volume 2 SB3. Meron siyang assembly. Ready-made na siyang assembly na it will meet the 45 minutes rating or 30 minutes rating. Either sa floor or sa wall na fire separation. So, pwede mo siyang gamitin ang assembly na yon. Halimbawa, 5/8 type X gypsum board on one side of the wall and then stud 2x6 at 16 inches on center, and then Typex 5/8 gypsum board again, it's gonna give you around 45 minutes rating. Then you can use that assembly. For the ceiling, meron din siya sa code kasi ngayon, it's not only fire separation, yung sound transmission class rating, dapat 50. Ang purpose nun is para hindi yung ingay sa taas o ingay sa baba, hindi ma-transmit sa other unit. So, yung floor assembly, in order to meet the 45 minutes rating for separation, kailangan mo rin ng STC 50. So, meron siyang assembly na rin. Ang usually, a 5/8 Typex gypsum board, minsan 2-ply, and then a resilient metal channel, and then the floor joist, and then sometimes meron siyang butt insulation sa loob. So at the same time, fire separation siya, and then it met the sound transmission class rating of 50. Yun ang mga magagamit mo, makukuha mo dito sa SB3.
So mag-hire na lang kami ng designer, sir, para sila na mag-advise.
Mag-hire ka ng qualified designer. So silang gagawa ng drawings para sa iyo. You just need to tell them what you intend to do. Okay, so yun ang isang option. Qualified designer. Okay. Pero mayroon din exemption yan. I'll give you exemption din. Pwede kang magsabit ng drawing and not prepared by a qualified designer. Pwede kang ikaw mismo magsabit ng drawing. As a homeowner, you are allowed to submit a drawing for your own property. Like mayroon kang bahay, ginawa mo ng tinapos, you finish the basement to second dwelling unit, pwede ka mag-submit drawing. Ikaw mismo ang designer. Kahit hindi ka qualified. Pwede yon, allowed yun ng code. Okay.
So, as long as alam mo yung code.
As long na yung information in the drawings are complete and are complying with the code. Ang problema, karamihan, nagtitipid, hindi niya alam gawin ng drawing, hindi siya marunong mag-sketch, hindi niya alam mga code sections. Pag sinabit yung drawing, sabihin namin, hindi nag-comply because ito, walang bintana, wala kang HVAC system, wala kang fire separation. Yung pinto mo dapat fire-rated door. Kung 45 minutes ang rating ng kwan, ang pinto mo dapat mga 30 minutes ang rated fire-rated door. Hindi mo ni-specify sa drawing mo. So, hindi mo alam dahil hindi ka designer, submit ka, reject, submit ka ulit, balik-balik, hanggang inabot ang 2 buwan, hindi ka nakakasal. Hindi na-approvean. So talo ka. So I always recommend, pag nakita ko sa umpisa pa lang na hindi marunong mag-present ng drawing, hindi nakabisado ang code, I always suggest hire a designer, a qualified designer, or a professional engineer to prepare the drawing for you. That's what I always recommend. It's part of the good customer service to the public.
So sa mga expert dito, magkano ba yung ranges ng mga designer, yung mga BCINC? I'm not sure, Madam Jenny, can you share kung magkano yung nabayad nyo? Or whoever? Meron bang
I'm not sure kung nandito si Sir Lervin, professional engineer siya. Nakita ko yung isang drawing niya, nag-submit siya siyang designer ng walkout basement entrance. So, I don't know kung magkano binayad sa kanya.
Siguro mga nagre-range siguro yan sila ng mga 15 to 20, pero depende siguro gano yung extent ng application mo or renovation.
Yeah, I can answer that as well kasi nagtrabaho ako as a designer before. Ako nagsisil ng drawing. So binibase namin yan sa number of hours we're gonna consume. So for instance, they call us, the company, the consulting firm, to prepare a basement apartment. So ang first ang computation niyan, yung travel time, pagpunta lang sa site, ang mag-stay ka ng mga 1 hour, magsusukat-sukat ka, babalik ka sa office, compute mo yung oras mo, gagawa ka ng sketch, ng report, gagawa ng calculation, ng simple math, then kung minsan ang report is not enough, so kailangan mong gawa ng drawing, magbabayad ka sa draftsman mo, may time yon. So kinocompute namin yan based on number of hours that we might consume. So kino-quote namin siya bago gawin ng isang project, ko-quote namin yan na it might cost you this much. And then pag pumayag yung owner, papadala namin ng contract, they will sign it, and then we will start doing our job. Ganon. It's per hour. Depende sa time na mapoconsume.
Okay. Time check lang tayo, 9 o'clock. So we're in our ending time. So maybe last more questions? Meron pa ba? Wala na yata.
Yeah.
So yeah, so sir, I think siguro last ano na lang, what your advice, may mga existing ngayon, or I think nasabi mo na, pero meron ka bang last message sa mga members natin?
Yeah, yeah, I think ang isa sa important thing na maintindihan nila ng ating mga kababayan, ng mga real estate investors, that yung building department or building inspector, kakampi mo yan. May certain fee, pero they are just doing their job. It's a minimum requirement lang siya. So wag kayong gamitin mo sila to your advantage, to make sure na kung anong binabayaran mo, bumabalik sa iyo ng tama. Hindi yung mag-rely ka lang sa contractor na itong gagawin nila. Minsan napapamahal ka lalo. Hindi naman kailangan ginagawa nila. Tapos sina-charge ka. So, yeah, building official, they are on the owner's side. And then, if you have question sa mga proposed renovation mo, proposed projects, magtanong ka sa building department. It's free. You don't need to tell them exactly the address of the property. You can just ask a question, a generic question, a general question. Like, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? Or anything. Pwede kang matamawag sa kanila. And they will try to answer as much as na allowed. Unless na very, kailangan mo ng pag masyadong personal ang tanong mo na, kailangan mo ng anong tawag lang, yung privacy information, may babayaran na small fee para makuha mo yung lahat ng data about previous files about the project. So yan, magtanong ka, pick up the phone, call them about the property. If you're buying something, ask the question, call the building department. They are there to help you out. Saka sa case ko, if I'm doing inspection, pag sinabi kong hindi pwede, it's not complying, we usually give them options how to comply. Either you do this or you do that. So lagi may option. You don't put them on the dead end, on a roadblock. Yun ang pinakamagandang approach pag may mga non-compliance. So yun lang ang masasabi ko. Yeah, importante yan na malaman natin as a real estate investor. Nandiyan ang building department to help us protect our property.
Okay, yeah, so salamat at first, salamat kay Sir Quindin for introducing Sir Winie. So this is a very good topic, and very honored na meron tayong member na may alam about dito. So at least kung may mga tanong tayo, we can just message Sir Winie, and really good insight tonight. So hopefully yung mga members natin tonight, we learned a lot. And then again, so we have options kung meron kayong existing dyan na hindi legal, so we have options. So it's okay. So at least naliwanagan tayo kung ano yung next step natin, kung sino yung kukunan natin ng mga professionals. So hopefully you learned something tonight, and salamat sa pag-join, and hopefully next time ulit. And I think i-share ko lang next na info session natin is because nandito na tayo sa construction side. So our next info session is the build to rent na strategy. So may na-invite tayo na from Quest for Cash Flow, magkapatid sila. And they will talk about building, meron silang company. And then yung strategy nila is they build a new house and then rent it out. So hopefully that's on May, I think May 10. So we'll send another invite. So, but for now, salamat again, and have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Sir Winie.
Salamat
Thank you,
din.
Dennis. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sir Winie. Well,
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good night. Good night, Preston.
Sir Jerry.